So the next person I would like to bring to the podium is the owner of Silverland USA, the owner and financer of Virginia Mining Company that was originally at this site. Hugh Roy Marshall, I met him about 15 years ago when we were here selling real estate. And over that period of time, we've developed a very close relationship, business-wise and family. And Hugh Roy has a love for Comstock, mining, and history. And he's going to share a little information about that right now. Hugh Roy.
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome all of you to coming here to Silverland and to the area. Probably many of you don't really have not been subjected to what I'm going to subject you to, which is just a brief education in several areas. One of which, as you sit there in your seat, either looking or not looking at me, you're not feeling the Earth is rotating at 1,037 miles per hour. And in addition, with our solar planets, we are moving with the sun at 2 miles per second, headed towards the constellation Lyra. Now, you don't realize any of these things because nobody ever told you. When you go outside and you look at the clouds up in the sky, they may be one color or another, but very few of you realize that they're made up of literally billions of one-celled organisms. And those travel around the world too. So the Earth in many respects is not wholly appreciated by us because we couldn't stand it if we did know it. But this area here in the state of Nevada, the middle section of Russia, South Africa, places all over the United States also have been hit by meteorites. In the beginning, when the Earth was ejected from the sun and took up its current orbit, it became hit by the moon. And the moon rolled around on the Earth, and as it did so, it brought exhalations of all different kinds of very rare and precious metals up above the core of the Earth. Now, as the moon began to move away from the Earth, gradually the Earth cooled. Now, where do you think all the water came from that was on the Earth? Well, it was in the rocks. And rocks today still carry over 6% of water in their context, and the sun basically is made up of an unlimited source of water. But we don't see any of this in this way. Nor do you guys see that underneath you and off the side of you over here, there's probably between 150 and 300 miles of underground tunnels that over about a 6-year period produced 3.8 million ounces of gold and 76 million ounces of silver. Of course, the hard way without any modern equipment. So Virginia City in the early days was where everybody was going. This is how the history of the area got started because of Virginia City. And the area originally was called the Ophir Diggings. And it ran from at the very first part of C Street down C Street. So you can imagine C Street was just these little holes where people had a little mine there, and they had a building about the size of an outhouse on top of it. And so that's how it started. And then underground mining started up at the Ophir Canyon, Ophir area at what is the end of Kendall Pit now, and mined the ore body at a 45-degree angle down, and then came up over here on the side of where you'll see out in the parking lot working just off the side over there. That was the Virginia mine. And they went down 675 feet on the ore body in that mine and then lost it. As far as the early development of the Virginia City area was made by probably 20 different mining companies. By the 1920s and 30s, all of this abruptly ended because of World War I and World War II. And the Labor Board 1 and 2 ordered, stripped all the mines of their metal as well as all of the mill buildings. That's why we see no hardly mill buildings or mine head frames or that sort of thing left here in the area. So during the 20s, there was still some continuation of work in the upper stope fields of the Comstock lode, but by 1942, the government made it illegal to mine in the United States. So all mining ceased at that time throughout the country, and by the end of World War II, 10 companies were left here at the Comstock working. And since that time, I've been working here since 1978 and have put in about 2.5 miles of underground tunnels here and about 7.5 miles of underground tunnels out in Ione, Nevada, which is out in the central part of the state. And of course, the reason for these tunnels basically is to allow one to get at the ore bodies that are left in these areas. So what you see here is basically an aerial of the Comstock lode area, and we're looking right down, straight down through Virginia City to American Flats, which is over here. The Comstock merger mill that was built in 1920 in this location ran out of ore by 1925, and the mine was shut down. This area has been one of the major development areas by mining companies since I've been here. And Houston Oil and Minerals was probably the first real major company to work that area and up here to the Loring Pit area. They lost their company and everything, which is worth about $5 billion. Went down the tubes at the Comstock. After Houston Oil, United Mining with Tim Collins mined some of the dumps in the areas and then had a leaching operation here in the area. He also went belly up too. Since that time, there's been about 2 or 3 other companies that have worked here prior to Comstock's development at their property, which did not amount to very much. But they basically have all the property from Union Street, which runs right here, all the way down to American Flats, and also including Silver City back over here. My company has the ground from the Union area and including Overhill, Middle Hill, Cedar Hill, and Citro Hill above the town, and then the 7 Mile Canyon area back over to the town. So most all of our mining area is were the original workings here that were the major producers. The Virginia mine and its company produced 62% of all the dividends that were paid on the Comstock to shareholders in mining companies. The 4 bonanza or big bonanza individual or characters, Mackey, Flood, Fair, and O'Brien, were the stock brokerage as well as mine superintendent and mine presidents, which ran that entity, which absorbed the Ophir Mining Company, the Utah Mining Company, and most all of these areas. Now, what happened in Virginia City after World War II, the area was in a very poverty rural status. And during that period of time and during the period of the Great Depression, these guys, along with a gentleman named Leong, a Chinese gentleman who owned the Sharon House and a few other properties in the area, would have poker games. And they played with the properties of Virginia City because they were worth just very small amounts, $5, $10, $20. So this one gentleman, Glenn I. Kahn, and his dad, they played for and picked up most all of the property that made up the original Virginia holdings. And then I was working on other kinds of projects, and my attorney in Washington wanted me to help this lady who had taken over this property. So I came over to this area in 1982 and put in this tunnel here that goes right past the hotel and is 143 feet down underneath D Street. And then in the 90s, I put in the Citro Tunnel over here, which goes into what we call Citro Hill. And in essence, we found three major areas of big bonanza deposits that have not been mined. One here, and one underlying the Ophir dump, which is really a continuation of the big bonanza deposit here. And it shows Virginia City right here, and the hanging wall of the ore body here, then the vein here, and then the footwall here. They call it footwall because when you're walking your mine, that's what's under your feet and off to the side. Hanging wall is what's up above your head. So basically, upon drilling here and then taking other drillings that I did in the area, we have now found a fairly conservative figure of between 150 and 250 million tons of 0.2 platinum content here in Virginia City, which is worth several billions of dollars. The other thing that we found is as we get into the big bonanza ore bodies, they're not hardly ever in the vein quartz at all, but they're next to the vein and form in the hanging wall, made up of clay and decomposed vein and chunks of very, very high-grade ore. So the way that this sort of lays out is this: the veining outcrops on the surface of the Comstock lode around the tops of the hills here. You see it, and you see that. Notice this red color. This is very common for the Comstock lode to carry ore mineralization when it's turned this reddish orange color. And these type of ores will run from about 15 to 20 to 50 ounces of silver, and at best a half an ounce to ounce and a half in gold. Now, as we find these deposits and go into them, we find that the clay surrounds the area, which is carrying a real abundance of gold in the clay. So the clay, as it were, has been figured to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 80 million metric tons of clay in the one area where we found it, and at least a like amount at the other area. Now, underlying the clay is the big bonanza ore bodies, and they're made up of a real dark gray, very dense, black-looking material. And the material will generally run from 500 to 1,700, 1,800 ounces of silver per ton, and 5 to 10 to 40 to 50 ounces of gold per ton. A truckload of this material is worth about $4.5 million. So you can see why I don't have any time to work over here at the hotel. So most of my time I spend in one hole or another. And I built the hotel here because it really needed one here in town because there's no place to stay. But running a hotel and bars and that sort of thing is not really my cup of tea in this deal at all. But I'd like to thank all of you for coming, though, and I hope you do have success at this and whatever real estate matters you work on. If you're interested more about the area from the mining standpoint, I'm happy to further engage anybody about that. Yeah.
I remember you spoke on TV where you explained how Virginia City was important when Lincoln was president and how.
Oh yeah.
You bring
Well, after the end of the Civil War, the United States of America was totally broke. We owed more than what we were worth to France, Germany, and England. Now we owe more than what we're worth to Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. So, this has been typical of our country, but in those days there was no way to go, and there was no silver. The closest silver mine was Taxco, Mexico. So there was no silver for the gold money that was already in currency at the time. So the silver find turned into a very, very important thing, and in those days, silver was the highest technological metal that they had to talk about. And of course, today it's absolutely essential in every type of gadget electronically that is made. Carries silver as one of its main components because it's what is used in order to solder the wires together in the gadget or computer or handheld phone or whatever it is. So silver is our digital metal today. But in those days, they thought, you know, they were astonished at silver's properties, that you could use it to eat with and that it would kill the bugs right on your fork. And you know, you could take it and then make a sheet of it and make up a film out of it and then explode the light into it and make up a picture. And then for a mirror or whatever, they, you know, the mirrors were not too good before they put silver in them, because that's what gives its refractive properties. Silver is the most reflective, refractive metal. So we basically have billions and trillions of dollars of metals to work on here and elsewhere. The hotel is about probably 60% finished, because we haven't finished any of the downstairs hardly at all. And the arena out back is another essential part of this role that the hotel needs to play, of having the events back there and whatnot. So we would hope to find somebody that would like to take over the hotel, run the hotel, own part of it, own all of it, that likes to run bars and restaurants and that sort of thing, and you know, find some people who like to do it to it. I'll be doing it somewhere else in a different way. Yeah.
Roy, could you mention the vision for the Comstock Park?
Yeah. Originally, we had planned on a self-supported building, 4-story county, that would be Story County's fairgrounds, and that may or may not happen in the future. But the idea of Silverland came into being by the author of The Big Bonanza, and by a lot of other people during that period of time. The other thing that I would like for you to realize too is that this was such an important area, even in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because of the silver metal and what was being discovered, that a lot of our most noteworthy scientists would come over here and stay here in Virginia City and meet here at least once a year, including Henry Ford and Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein. We've had, during the growth of scientific development in the United States, that group, including Mr. Blackburn, who made up the tires, I think, but they basically would get together and talk about what was the truth going on in the world. And of course, before this, and way before this, Tesla was one of the most greatest scientific minds of the ages of human beings. And what he developed and came to know was really far above the scientists of his age. But at least when this town got started, it was viewed as a real industrial town with the highest scientific technological advancements of what we could do in the country was here. So that's why it was looked at that way. And the ice that they had to mine over in the Truckee River area in order to bring ice up here, and everything that was going on in those days was for Virginia City. There was no Reno, no Las Vegas. And by and large, Reno developed into a pretty nice gambling resort community. And for many years was you know, right at the top of the line of that. And then Vegas has come along with spending trillions down there on their casinos. But this would be a great place to have a little casino in here too. There's all kinds of things that could be used here, but I'm afraid I'm going to be in a different location while this is going to be going on, and that's kind of been the way that it has since I, you know, built the hotel here.
Thank you very much, Roy.
Yeah, basically.
Any more questions? Any questions for Mr. Marshall? Okay.
We'll hope to see you again anyway here in the area, or any way I can, you know, help you guys do your job. Let me know.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
That was so much.
Hey, you betcha.